we're down to the wire on one of the most important remaining Democratic primaries. It's gonna be happening later on tonight, or actually the voting's happening right now in Texas, and that is Jessica Cisneros versus the incumbent Henry Cuellar. And this race has been incredibly dirty, not just naturally dirty from the fact that one of the two candidates is potentially tied up with some sort of corruption thing having to do with Azerbaijan, but the arguments being used against Jessica Cisneros are about 50 miles away from substantive. So we've already showed you the billboards attacking her as a home wrecker and things like that. Now, journalist Daniel Marin says, a source in Texas tells me that either Cuellar or an allied group is sending voters in that district campaign literature that's styled to make it look like a newspaper. And that is 100% true. That is happening. Here's the front page of the South Texas Reporter, which they're making it seem as if, so let's advance to that next picture. You're gonna see it's as if it's a newspaper. It's not. And look, hey, good news for Cuellar in the waning days of the election. Cuellar cleared. Congressman not a target of federal probe. Now, I will say, first of all, the fact that you have to make a fake newspaper is fairly embarrassing. The fact that you would have to be cleared from a probe, that isn't the best thing for your incumbent. Also, it's not true. So representatives from the FBI have refused to clear Henry Cuellar of wrongdoing, stating that both the FBI and the DOJ do not comment on the existence of any investigation. Furthermore, no other media outlets have been able to confirm the report that you're seeing right there that Cuellar is innocent. So it's not even true that he's been cleared, and it's being passed around with this fake newspaper, JR. So just how embarrassing is that? Jerry, you're muted.
Damn it, sorry.
We're gonna get you trained up on that mute button.
I'm sorry, I'm just trying not to have my juice shake in front of your camera. Okay, so this is the thing. So when it comes to this whole thing, we're just sending out flyers in the middle that look like newspapers. The first thing I thought was, nobody believes this is a newspaper, do they? Because I've been getting flyers for campaigns every day. And I think there's about 10 to 15. On a good day, there's 7. Every day there's campaign flyers. I don't know if anyone can literally look through all of that and go, oh, here's a newspaper, the South Texas Reporter that I apparently subscribe to. And they're sending me papers suddenly in the mix of all of my campaign mail. Nobody's buying it. I feel like if I see your candidacy, send me some mail, I'm gonna not vote for you. I hate it so much. I don't know what to do with all this garbage. That's just my own personal issue with this. But I don't think anyone really pays attention to this stuff to a degree to go, oh, I was about to vote against Henry Cuellar, but this random flyer in the mail from the quote South Texas Reporter changed my mind. I don't know who counsels these folks, who thinks that these things are effective, or maybe it affects the group of folks from, I don't know, 75 to 100 years old that are like, yeah, I still read the newspaper. I don't want to like disparage anyone like that, but just the thing, a newspaper would change things like this. If it was a real newspaper, does that? I don't know, man.
I think that if you are, look, I think for regular people, perhaps not. But remember, this is a primary. Regular people aren't the target audience in primaries. It's people who are tapped in more to what's going on. I think that some of them will have felt a little bit weird about the fact that he's potentially being investigated by the FBI. And I think they will seize on this. Like, see, he's cleared. He's cleared. This fake newspaper has cleared him. I think that they're gonna be very excited about that. And I think that sort of person is gonna be very excited to change the conversation from whether Henry Cuellar is even really a Democrat, whether it makes sense in this day, particularly in Texas, to have a Democrat who thinks you shouldn't have reproductive rights. Does that make sense? Does it make sense to have a Democrat who voted such a significant percentage of the time with Donald Trump when he was president? Does that make sense? No, they don't want to have that conversation. The conversation they want to have is scandal in South Texas. Jessica Cisneros fling years and years ago that has absolutely nothing to do with any of this. Now, the reason they have to publish this in a fake newspaper is they tried to make this a story, and actual news outlets had no interest in this whatsoever for obvious reasons. So they just invent a newspaper to talk about it. That is what they want this race to hinge on. And honestly, if I was a supporter of Henry Cuellar, I would too. Because what substance are you gonna use? You're gonna like have him give speeches about the land grants that are just big payouts to campaign donors and stuff like that? Who wants that to be the thing that people are focusing on?
Boring.
Exactly.
That's their thought.
That'd make him look good.
Yeah, we got to go back to the sex scandal, because that's what actually drives American politics. That's apparently what decides what our legislators and our Congress people, senators are gonna do, all to governor and president. We have to worry about their sex scandals so that they can write the kind of laws that help us get health care. It has absolutely nothing to do with actual reality. It has to do with tapping into people's emotions. Yes, Democrats do it too, especially in primaries like this when a progressive is actually challenging an establishment guy.
Yeah. And by the way, if you are right now watching this live, and if you're in that district, go out and vote if you haven't already. First of all, if you're in that district and you're watching this, I find it inconceivable that you wouldn't have already voted, but it is going to be close no matter what. We're in the runoff right now. The original actual primary was super close, just a couple of points. She could win, she could lose. It's gonna be close either way. And like, imagine knowing that, like, if she loses by like a point, it definitely will have been influenced by this. Like, how sickening is that? That is what in 2022 elections still hinge on, is this sort of made up nonsense.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.